Well, all I can say is this. It was a blowout in the Bay. My goodness. We will talk about the Super Bowls, but we're gonna welcome you to Rsg One Mic. You know, as I always say, go to realsportsguys.com to get all of us, get everything Real Sports Guys. Check out, we got great content over there, great interviews. We're gonna have a few things we're gonna be posting up here. But you right now, you with the One Mic crew. And so before I get into the proceedings, as my boy Game Changers would say, let me bring the crew in for those who do not know who they are. You should know by now. All right, we're gonna start with the youngin over there, you know, paying homage over there, Darnell Kirkland Jr. What's up, youngin? How you doing, man?
What's good, man? Just got done with a good week of football. Super Bowl happened. Tampa Bay brought it home in their own house, in their own crib. My preseason prediction was correct, but my prediction for the Super Bowl was not. So
it's like these young folks, you can't hang in there sometimes. In the end, you dip and dip, so you ain't got no loyalty on that. What's wrong?
I see what I see. I don't.
I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. You went away from your principles, but we'll get back to it in a minute. We all went away from our principles. You and I should have known better.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Hammer? How you doing over there?
Yeah, you doing well. I told y'all what happened. Didn't I tell you? Did I tell y'all what happened? I told y'all what happened. So y'all need to listen. Okay. You know, my preseason pick was the Seahawks, so I was way off, but I was right.
I know. So I
was way off, but no, I was right for the Super Bowl though. So I was right for the Super Bowl.
Waffling.
Hey, I was right for the footballs. That's like being right for the regular. You know, please, man.
Okay, we'll come back to that. We got that, and then we missed him last week, man. But we were thinking about thoughts and prayers with you, and just good to have you back in there. You know, our man in the post, anchor the post, he sets the screen. We run right off of him. You know, we might send somebody to the corner. He'll set that high screen. He can either pop out, hit the J, or he can dive to the hoop. You know, that's how we run this offense. What's up, Hank Davis?
Good to see you gentlemen this week. Thank you for the prayers. Missed you guys. But I'm glad to be back. And I was as stunned as anybody else about Sunday. But there's a lesson to be learned there, youngin, and that's the one that we're gonna go with for sure. Yeah, I said youngin. I'm pointing you out for a reason. Okay, so I'll hold off until the time is right, but I'm going to enjoy this one. Okay, I'm smacking my lips for a different reason.
I know. Hammer is smacking, making us all hungry. We had to do
over there smashing.
Slow the roll to get into the intro. So he got his goal off the set. He ain't bring nothing to share past him. He ain't had no food to pass. But that's he'll be all right. All right, we're gonna jump into the open mic, man. And part of the open mic, I went to this little thing called the things that make me go, So it was all over. I just don't understand it. I hated the fact that I found out then it was a brother that was in charge of it. That was the Dallas Cowboys put out the hype video. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out. They got legends in the video. They got linemen in the video. I think they got a punter in the video. They got linebackers in the video. Ain't no Dak Prescott in the video. Now, the one thing that Dallas might not get anything on the field right. But if you spend any time in Dallas at that stadium or been around it, they seem to get the business of football right a lot of times, other than signing their quarterback. But when it comes to like public relations locally, they build a stadium, they open it up for the high school kids to play in. You know, they seem to get all that, like Jerry gets all that little stuff right. So I thought I would put this in that bucket, right? That bucket to get it right. But they thought, so fellas, when y'all heard about this, did y'all see it as a shot across the bow, you know, or was it just some fool in marketing in social media who just messed up? They had an intern on the project. Somebody turned their head and they pressed send and forgot that they put Dak in it. Let me start with the youngin, because I'm gonna start with the youngin, because for some reason it's got to be more in his generation that might be behind this. So I want to start with you to kind of get a sense of what you think happened.
I didn't see the video. That's the thing. I'm gonna start off just saying that I didn't see it, but it sounds like.
But just imagine, I described it to you. I don't think you have to see it to have an opinion on this. He wasn't in the video.
So, it sounds like there's been some conversations that he might not be the long-term solution. But you don't want to jump to conclusions with stuff like that. But I don't really look too much into that. I don't. Yeah. Was it actually somebody from the Cowboys? Was it the Cowboys PR?
Is it social media marketing department? All right, Hammer, you seem to be ready.
Yeah, I've told you all since before he got hurt that the Dallas Cowboys do not respect Dak Prescott. They're not going to pay Dak Prescott. They will probably franchise him. They will probably trade him, and someone else will pay Dak Prescott. So they've shown their lack of respect for Dak Prescott. They pay everybody but Dak Prescott. So, I mean, Cooper got paid. Ezekiel Elliott, despite his mess, got paid. Lawrence, despite his mess, got paid. So every guy got paid except for your leader, your so-called leader. And so, yeah, they show when they put Roger Staubach in there and sort of Troy Aikman, in there, instead of they showed how they devalue Dak Prescott. So, I mean, Dak needs to leave. They're gonna probably have to franchise him again because I don't think they're crazy about the quarterbacks in this class. But I think they wouldn't mind having a Carson Wentz or something. They don't want him to be the face of their franchise. It's quite clear. They've shown that. They've shown a fundamental disrespect for the man, and I felt bad for him. Like I said, he should have done a Le'Veon Bell and sat out the season because no one knows how he's going to come back from his injury. I mean, it's a devastating injury. His mobility helps him as far as in the pocket goes. So, like I said, it's a thing where loyalty only goes so far, and you are what you show you are. And when they don't show you in the video, and that the way the Joneses micromanage, they saw the video. Let's be real about this. So they signed off on it. So it wasn't some crazy, kid like this idiot that put the obituary on Schottenheimer today, who needs to be fired with the quickness. It's not that type of situation where they do not want Dak Prescott to be the face of their franchise. Plain and simple.
Hank, I'm gonna let you weigh in.
No, this wasn't. Now, I will say this, that the youngest generation do have me scratching my head sometimes. Okay, I will say that, but I don't think I agree with Hammer in that you just aren't going to put out a hype video and with that kind of detail with some of the characters that you got on it, and just, oh, by the way, we forgot to put Dak Prescott on there. That's not going to happen in Jerry world. And yeah, there's a message that's being sent there. Number one, that injury, they're not convinced that he's going to be able to return with that injury. That's number one. And number two, there is some disrespect and devaluing there. They don't see him as the face of their franchise. Let me tell you something. If you go to any NFL city and they do a hype video, your quarterback is going to be on that hype video. That's the face of your offense. Okay. I mean, here in Detroit, it was going to be Matt Stafford before the trade, and then next year it's going to be Jared Goff. Okay, even if they put in preseason games, that's how you do it. Okay, so that is a very clear message. Dak Prescott needs to make some decisions if he's going to play. I don't think he continues his career in Dallas, and if he does after this, and it might, and we're saying that's just a hype video. No, it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that, especially when they do it now and you're not a part of it.
Yeah, it's funny. I love to listen to Jeff Saturday today. He said, usually it's the center that's looking for that stuff in the picture. He was like telling his kid, that's me. That's my number. And I'm just like, nope, you don't make those kind of mistakes. They wouldn't have done that with Tony Romo even if he was in negotiations with them. So yeah, this is a franchise that those kind of things they usually get right. So a whole bunch of other stuff they get wrong, but that's something they usually get right. And so they overdo it, but they usually get it right. All right. What surprised me, and this gets close to home, so I had to put the W on. Because this usually isn't his MO. Like he usually keep things pretty. But Russell Wilson was hinting that there might be a trade or it might be a deal or he might be going somewhere else. Was surprising to me. Part of it is that Russell has some of that, I ain't gonna say real Dak in it, but he has a loyalty piece in him. He feels like that you feel like he has. So I'm surprised that he kind of hinted that in in an interview. But what do y'all think is going on? Hank, I'll come back to you. What do y'all think is going on in Seattle? I know Russell is he's seeing all these people getting riches, all the players around him, and he's probably tired of trying to be Batman. But what's going on?
Well, I think you're on to something there. I think the fact that I read a little piece that he wanted to at least have some input in some of the personnel decisions here in Seattle, and he has been Superman. You know, he's done it all, and I don't think he's going anywhere. But but I think it's a good marketing tool, or just a good bargaining chip for him. You know, he is the face of that franchise, and he, you know, and so goes Seattle. He's had to do so much with not a whole lot. You know, ever since Marshawn Lynch left or retired, you know, not much of a running game there in Seattle. So he's had to do it all. So, you know, he's like, you know what? It was inexcusable, I think, to Russell Wilson that they lost to the Rams, you know, in the playoffs this year, especially with the season that they had. And that's because they became very predictable. So I think that this is what he is saying, you know, I'm trying to get me another chip, you know, let me at least, you know, say something about it, because I think that's what that was about. I think he's going to get paid, but I really do believe that he's got to, you know, kind of get the team stepped up a little bit, not just him and, you know, a cast of renowns.
Yeah, and he's got some of the same issues we're gonna address when we get to the Super Bowl. You know, that teams have just gotten away from us. I won't get too deep into it right now, but you know, he deserves some investment on that side of the ball in getting some things and having a little bit more creativity in their offense. It's too predictable. They haven't, since losing Marshawn, it doesn't feel like they have that dominating running game and that can take pressure off of it. You know, they've had some players either been hurt or they just ain't panned out that on a consistent basis. They show flashes, but you're not sure who's going to take and that's part of it. He's developing a nice young receiving core, but I think you got to have a running game. His game plays great off play action, and in having somewhat of a running game would be beneficial for him. You know, I want to spend a little bit of time. I'm so glad that Hank made it in with us today, because we do want to pay tribute to a few things. And so it's 50-year anniversary, and we also got Hammer here of Satchel Paige getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. And, you know, also we had the decision to finally acknowledge Negro League ball players. But, you know, Satchel Paige is someone that probably a lot of folks don't know or understand the power of it, of what he did and how he played. And maybe, Hank, I could, I don't know if you were going to do something with this to drop the mic, so I'm going to do it, but I thought it'd be nice, you know, to talk about Satchel Paige, and then I'll get you Hammer afterwards. But, you know, just kind of what Satchel Paige, for people who don't know, meant to the game.
See, Satchel Paige, I don't know, and I'm going to really date myself, but once upon a time, it was an old movie. I want you guys to look it up on YouTube or whatever platform you call it. It's called Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars, the Motor King. It starred Billy D. Williams, Richard Pryor. It's a very funny movie. But this movie really was like a barnstorming Negro League baseball team. And Billy D. Williams played a character named Bingo Long. Okay, Bingo Long's character was portrayed like Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige was that kind of player that he could tell you what he was going to throw, and you couldn't hit it. In the Negro Leagues, Satchel Paige actually had his whole infield sit down. Now, this is what the Bingo Long did in this movie. They did this whole scene. He had his whole infield just sit down, and he told the batter what he was going to throw, and he struck him out. He was that kind of player. When he got into the major leagues, I think he was in his late 40s, maybe even in his 50s, when he finally took the mound with the Cleveland Indians, excuse me. I mean, just an amazing ball player. He you know, Jackie Robinson gets a lot of the accolades for being the first player in the in the Negro leagues and black player to make Major League Baseball, but it was Satchel Paige who was the star, the star, the GOAT of the Negro leagues. So him making it really brought more pride actually to Negro League baseball than Jackie Robinson actually making it. That's how significant that was with him.
Hammer, I don't know if you want to add something at all. Or...
I just know my late father was a baseball connoisseur. Always talked about Satchel Paige and talked about that, that Jackie was the first one because Jackie was educated, went to UCLA. They knew Jackie would present well. They knew Jackie wouldn't fight back. And that's his trailblazer. But yeah, as Hank said, Satchel Paige was an amazing pitcher, probably one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball history, especially considering the fact we talk about Tom Brady right now. This guy was bringing, like I said, late 40s, 50 at a high level. So he was a great pitcher that sadly, because of racism, wasn't able to show his prime to a national audience. And so the bottom line is that that is what, again, he signified. And I think, again, that, it's great to celebrate him, and he needs to be known more by people who only think about 42 and they think they should think about Pat Satchel as well. So
thank y'all for that. We also have some passing. It seemed like every time we turn around, we didn't get a chance to recognize John Chaney, which we should probably have a conversation here about that as well. I didn't have it on the rundown because it seems like every day I'm waking up, I don't know how y'all feel. We have years where we have passings, right? But this year, I don't know what it is. It just seems like every time we wake up, somebody's announcing something like, and I think for many of us, these are folks who, were, really, they're kind of like the key figures of our lifetime in terms of, you think about people like, John Chaney and the work and role that he played, along with John Thompson, and really pushing back on an establishment that was trying to define particularly black players in a certain way. And they pushed back in a lot of different ways, pushing back the status quo, feisty, the Calipari exchange in the locker room, and just the way his teams played, they reflected his personality. And so I know we didn't get a chance to talk about him, but we also had, Marty Schottenheimer, who, he got a lyric after him, but, Schottenheimer, it's unfortunate that, Carl shared it in our group text, Washington Post headlines focusing on, he died, someone who couldn't win the big game dies. That's like, there is we get so caught up in this championship kind of ring kind of thing. We miss quality coaches. Like, he has some devastating losses, but he has some strong teams. Them teams competed, and when he coached, and I love, even when he was in Cleveland, I'm a Steeler fan. There's something I love about Schottenheimer. I love those Browns defenses. I love watching them. It was, watching those teams play, they gave that city pride. And a lot of that was reflected in how he coached, how he approached the game. Players loved him, respected him. He pushed hard, but you got a sense that he also loved hard as well. And so, it's, to lose another coach, as many of us who have played sports know, the importance of good coaches and the impact on you beyond the game. I see him as that kind of coach that, had impact on folks, that they took some of those lessons, in the life. When you see those videos where he's talking about, focusing on the next play, and the way he talks about it. A lot of coaches talk about it, but you sense that this is a process in the way you do it. You believed it. And that's something you probably just took to the rest of your life, in terms of not letting that play consume you. And he had some plays, the fumble, he had some stuff, but he was able to continue to keep that energy as well. So I like to spend a little time reflecting on Schottenheimer, but also, if you want to say something also about, Coach Chaney, who, we could probably spend a whole nother segment on him with the stories, but maybe I'll go to Hamp, man, and maybe you could either comment on either one of them, just in your reflections on them.
I mean, Schottenheimer was a great coach, but like I said, he didn't win the big game. But we get the fact this is just a matter of just lack of respect by people now. I mean, the man died a horrible death as far as Alzheimer's, and I saw the report a couple of years ago when he was declining in health, and so we know what happened with the Washington football team. He had a one and done, so it wasn't a good one and done. So, but the bottom line is that he, like you said, he coached well at San Diego had good teams, Cleveland, but yeah, he couldn't win. He didn't win the big one, but he still impacted a lot of people's lives, and had a son who also in the league, and so the bottom line is that nobody was going to win the big one. It's that simple. So plain and simple. I mean, it's just not possible. So
there's a lot of great coaches who didn't win the big one.
Yeah, they're not gonna. It's not gonna add up. The numbers don't add up. I mean, you have 55 Super Bowls, going 56 now. So, So the bottom line is that he did his best and didn't win, but he was an excellent coach who improved young men's lives, and just had some unfortunate playoff things. The team that went 14-2 lost in the the divisional round was very devastating. I'll never forget LT and just his being crushed, just the spirit crushed on the field. But again, he'll tell you, I'm sure. I haven't seen interviews with him yet about today with Schottenheimer, but I'm sure he's being quoted about that he was a great coach to him.
He said he's the best coach he's ever played for. Youngin, I know you work on being a historian. I know you dip and dabble on YouTube and do all those things. So we'll go to you.
Too, man, Marty Schottenheimer. I don't know if I can really say anything that hasn't been said already. A good coach. He always had a good competitive team, but he just couldn't get over the hump. But I think, it was classless what that one guy did when he put that in his obituary, and just to in a moment where you're supposed to be reflecting and celebrating life, to just bring up somebody's failures like that, I think that was uncalled for. But I would pretty much just agree with what everybody said.
All right, we'll end up with Hank here.
Listen, if you ask any Cleveland Brown fan, they're sick today. That Schottenheimer is gone. Regardless of, you're talking about he couldn't win the big one. There's two of the most talked about plays that happened to this one franchise. The drive by a Hall of Fame quarterback, John Elway. And then your can't miss running back fumbles the ball. It's sick. But guess what? Marty Schottenheimer got them there. Marty Schottenheimer is responsible for the dog pound being in Cleveland because of those teams, because that team was relevant, because you became a Cleveland Brown fan even though you weren't, because those teams was tough. They ran the football. They had Mack and Minor. Both of them ran for 1,000 yards. These are Marty Schottenheimer's teams. Okay, and you had the league. Even if you weren't a Cleveland Brown fan, you pulled for Marty Schottenheimer. He was one of the genuine good guys. He was a good football. He was a great football coach. Like you said, there's a lot of great football coaches and a lot of great football players that don't win the big one, but their impact, their contribution to the game will never be forgotten. And for Schottenheimer, and especially for Cleveland, they'll never be forgotten.
All right, thank you. Rest in heaven, Coach. And then finally, we want to recognize Leon Spinks, and I want to get Darnell, who's our boxing one, but I know the other two, that was that's more of our time growing up. We like to start with the young and who's our boxing extraordinaire analyst over here.
Leon's a little before my time, but at the end of the day,
a lot before your time.
I watched boxing's my thing, but he accomplished a lot as a boxer. In his amateur career, he won 3 straight AAU championships, defeating Michael Dokes, who became a heavyweight champion. As a pro, he beat the great Muhammad Ali, and also he's been in the ring with the who's who of names. He might not have won all the fights, but he's been in there, and his family is a well-known family in the sport. His son Corey Spinks beat a prime Zab Judah. His brother Michael Spinks. He was one of the greatest light heavyweights to fight. So yeah, rest in peace to Leon Spinks. But yeah, he was one of those guys. He might have been better served. He fought at heavyweight, but he might have been better served fighting at a cruiserweight or fighting at even like if he fought today, he'd probably end up fighting at light heavyweight. But he ended up fighting he ended up having to go against bigger guys. Like he fought against Tommy Morrison, who was just like huge in comparison to him. He fought Larry Holmes, who was much bigger than him, and Ali was bigger, even though he beat Ali. But he usually ended up being the smaller man in all his matchups. But yeah, he was a true warrior in the ring. Always came forward, and he never really took steps back.
And I know I'll go to you, Hammer, and then back to Hank. But I know y'all had a chance to see him growing up. I know I did. We turned on the ABC, and there he was. Hammer.
I was just stunned that Ali was one of my heroes growing up. One of my big things was, besides meeting Michael Jordan, of course, that was the biggest thing, was meeting Ali. Sadly, though, when his Parkinson's was really, you could tell he's really diminished. But it was a stunning victory. Then he saw a dude with, I'm not talking bad about the dead, but let's just be real, he had no teeth. So, looked crazy. So, and wasn't Ali. I mean, Ali was the beautiful, greatest, good looking, Leon Spinks. If Ali and Leon Spinks were at the same woman, we know who would win out. So most likely. So, the bottom line is that, Spinks was a one-hit wonder since, and, I'm not talking about some of his other fights, but the big thing was upset, and then Ali came back and got his revenge. And so, that helped. It was either one-hit wonder, and his record.
We just had a conversation about the headlines.
Yeah. But you give him credit. But he's a one-hit wonder, but at least he hit, though.
You're trying to give folks their flowers.
Championship. You got a championship. I mean, I'm bad.
I'm never gonna give you flowers with.
He'll tell you, but at least he hit. At least he hit, though. I mean, he hit. Dude.
I understand.
I'm talking badly about me.
They both went after the same women. Like, where's that line coming from? I'm
just saying, man, he wasn't a good-looking brother. Let's be real. He wasn't a good-looking brother, man. I mean, I saw this dude. I was just like, really? He beat Ali? Like, did he scare him? That's what we were saying in the hood. Did he scare him? That brother was just, let's be real.
All right.
I'm not putting a brother down. Looks eye of beholder, but
All right, Hank.
But like I said.
Okay. Look. Let's see. I can say a little bit about Leon Spinks. So, first, he was a gold medalist.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was an incredible gold medal boxing team that the United States had. They had Leon Spinks was on that team. I think his brother may have been on the team. Sugar Ray Leonard was on that team. Yeah, that was an incredible boxing team that year. There was champions all up and down that thing. The fight with Muhammad Ali, and he had a pretty, I would say, Leon Spinks, up until the time he fought Muhammad Ali, he had a pretty okay career, but they was following all of these guys from that incredible boxing team. So he goes and he fights Muhammad Ali. Now, it was real funny to me that in this first fight with Muhammad Ali used to love to just do all this talking. He was quiet. He was quiet when he fought Leon Spinks. And Leon Spinks had this little token he would say with his no two front teeth. He would say, "He's the greatest. I'm the latest. He got to give it up." I remember him saying that. That was his thing. You remember that? So, but the thing about this fight, now see, Ali he was on the verge of setting a record of capturing.
That's right.
Championships, but you can't capture a championship if you've already got it.
Yeah.
This fight and God rest in heaven, Leon Spinks. But I'm telling you, in that first fight, no, Muhammad Ali did not fight. He let Leon Spinks bring the fight to him. I remember watching that fight. I was so angry with Muhammad Ali. I was like, do something.
I was like, what's going on?
He wouldn't fight. And he won, and Leon Spinks won that fight. Everybody who was a Muhammad Ali fan was like, what are you doing? They came back the next fight. Muhammad Ali was himself. He was talking. He was yapping. And he took Leon Spinks to school and got his championship back. That's the rest of the story. I think Muhammad Ali gave a young fighter a chance to be champion. Then he put himself back in the record books by taking his championship back. You know, it speaks to the greatness of Muhammad Ali. But Leon Spinks, himself, he struggled with his health, you know, the last part of his life, and which is unfortunate. Young and brought up Michael Spinks, who's best known for getting knocked out by Mike Tyson before I got a chance to pay for my ticket to get into the theater. You know, when I was going in, everybody else was coming out. But that's another story for another time.
What about his son Corey? His son Corey Spinks.
I'm not talking about Corey Spinks. I'm talking about my $25 that I lost at the time going in when everybody else was coming out. But anyway, rest in heaven, Leon Spinks.
Oh my goodness! All right, we're gonna close out the one mic. We're gonna get into the cipher, the beat down in the bay. That's what we're gonna talk about. I guess we gotta, you know, everybody's been talking about it. I don't know if we even need to talk about this conversation or have this talk about it. It's again, these lists or these top, you know, so everybody's been talking about Brady. Is he the best, you know, athlete in team sports? And
no.
We're not going to ask you because we already know your answer, so it's not going to be a debate. We might have to go.
I mean, rationale though. I mean, I always have rationale.
I think you got a good rationale. I probably would support your rationale. So we gotta, you know. So I'll go with you because I already know where you're going. So why don't you go, Hammer? I'll let you go because I know where you're going already.
No, I mean, I'm not taking away. Definitely, Brady is the best football player of all time, but not the best sports player of all time, because the bottom line is that, you know, Michael Jordan played offense and defense. There's no like free safety in basketball. You play both sides of the ball. And so that's where definitely I just cannot attribute him to MJ, because football players are specialists. It's like having a 3-point specialist, you know, basically in basketball, where basketball players, well, you know, sadly, they don't play it now, seen some of these games, but back in the day, the good old days of NBA, like I like to say, 80s, 90s, Pistons, Bulls, no Kobe, we played defense. I mean, it's about like we played both sides of the ball. Michael stole the ball from Byron Russell and then shot the hoop. I mean, that's what it was about. And so, like I said, again, what Brady did was amazing. You know, 1 year, turned around the culture, brought in cats who were, you know, dogged out like AB and Fournette, and you know, brought back Gronk, and Gronk again. Gronk was blocking. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, but Gronk was blocking. I mean, if you look at his blocking really was a key in that game. Not the 2 touchdown passes. So yeah, we're not gonna take it away from Tom Brady, but I will never say that there's only one athlete who's the greatest of all time in any sports. That's Michael Jeffrey Jordan, plain and simple. 6 titles.
I might have a rebuttal to that, but I will. Let's go to Darnell. Let's get everybody else in there. So Darnell, you got Jordan on there. From who do you agree with it? Tom Brady, best team sport athlete, or what you got?
You said team sport athlete.
Team sport is the team sport we're talking about.
I hate these kind of arguments. These arguments,
I'm with you.
They can't be proven. They can't be rationalized.
No.
Who is the greatest team? Who cares? Who knows? I don't know.
Answer the question.
I know who the greatest athlete of all time is. The greatest athlete of all time his name was Wilt Chamberlain. This man could do anything. He was 7 feet tall. He could run track. He could run long distance. He could jump hurdles. He could throw the shot put. He could throw the javelin. He could play volleyball. He could do anything. So Wilt is
shoot free throws. That's another story.
He dropped 100 points.
Couldn't shoot free throws.
Nobody's.
There we go. So we got Wilt is just the greatest.
Wilt has to be in the conversation Jim Brown has to be in the conversation as well.
Yeah, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown was an all-world lacrosse player, an all-world football player. You had the speed, the power. You had you gotta put. There's a lot of guys you gotta put in this conversation. I don't know if we can just narrow it down to Michael Jordan and Tom Brady. What about Serena Williams? What about Tiger Woods?
But team sports though, we're not going into the
team sports.
But if we go individual, we put Serena up in there. All right, Hank.
Okay, let's put this argument into context. Okay, you can make that argument all the way around when you're talking about physical ability. Okay, physical athleticism. I think both Darnell and Hammer have eloquently, described physical prowess on the court or on anywhere. But you're talking about the best athlete. I'm not talking about whether or not what do you do for your team? Do you make your team better? Does your presence on that team change the whole culture of that team? Now with Michael Jordan literally could have done it on his own. Okay, but he had him a couple of players, a Scottie Pippen, if you will, and he made that team better. Now in football, because if you don't have a good defense, and like you said, Hammer, you play defense and you play offense, so you got the whole game. When you're that kind of player that can make a team better simply by your presence, how you handle things, and they start to emulate your whole personality, that's saying something. Now, football is a different animal than hoop. You can dominate in hoop. You both have made that argument very clear. You can dominate in hoop. Michael Jordan dominated. Will Chamberlain dominated for years. LeBron James can dominate right now. It's hard to dominate in football. You have injuries. You have other people you got to rely upon. It's all these different things. And what Tom Brady has done has gone to 10 Super Bowls. But this year, we had to be the most, consequential year I've ever seen of any athlete. You go to a team, you bring other players onto that team. Like we said, other players that everybody had thrown away. AB and all his mental issues. Fournette and he can't stick. Gronk coming out of retirement. This is Hollywood stuff. Okay. And then you talk about the defense, but the defense took on a different mentality. Why? Because you had somebody over there that knew how to win championships. And not just get there, but win championships. Then he comes out and balls out. Okay. That to me is something that you can you say he's the greatest? Like Darnell said, you can go all over the place. You can throw all different, but just that alone is got him up there somewhere. Because if you look at just to make a point, he went to 10 Super Bowls. 10 Super Bowls, hey, but 56 Super Bowls been played. Okay, he's been to more than 10% of them. Okay, think about that in his career. But moreover than that, the 3 that he lost, he was leading in. This is what makes it so difficult. He was leading. His defense let him down. His defense played solid, and this was the easiest one he's ever won. So that says a lot about him. That says a whole lot.
I got another name to throw in here. How about Bill Russell? We talk about winning. Bill Russell took the San Francisco Dons to a national championship. Just think about that.
And 11, and he coached. He played
and
coach.
Went to Boston. He won 11 championships. One as a player coach.
But talent was spread around then. I mean,
and you're talking about
very few teams then.
The talent was condensed.
And he was 6'8". I mean, I just think he wouldn't transcend in today's game. So
it's not about it's about who's the greatest. The greatness is about
Michael Jeffrey Jordan, definitely. At any era, right now, he would dominate. Any era, he'd be putting up 40.
He didn't even dominate the era he played in. He had the front.
He didn't dominate the era he played in.
Okay, please don't start.
He didn't win until he got
6 championships.
He got a second star.
Please,
you got to put Pippen in there.
Never lost in the final. Like I tell all these LeBron lovers.
Like I said,
he's won the same amount that LeBron's lost in the final.
Look,
Okay.
Look, Will Chamberlain said, Will Chamberlain, they changed the rules so Will Chamberlain couldn't dominate. Okay. When Michael Jordan, they changed the rules so that he could. Now.
There we go.
The hand checking was not that
Patrick Mahomes. They said it's not about Jordan. We'll leave him out. But we bought another man, a magic man, Patrick Mahomes. Can he get to status, or is he gonna be that cat in the little room? Because you got the Hall of Fame, you got the little room, and that little room is where people start to debate. That's the room that Michael and LeBron are in, along with some others. There ain't that many people in that room. A small table, but there's one guy there with one big piece of chicken. And right now, Michael's holding that big piece right now. But in football, it looked like Tom gonna be holding that piece in the Hall of Fame room. Can Mahomes make a case after the way they lost?
Well, it's not just that, D. Wills. It's the fact that he caught Andy Reid at the wrong time. Andy Reid's 62 years old, right? 63 years old. He's not going to be able to have the run that Brady had with Belichick, because Belichick was in his 40s when Brady took over. So you got, basically Big Red probably got 3 more years left. And sadly, there's some rumors with this, case with his son, he might step down. So might be him. He might finally get a job now. I think he probably would get the job if Big Red stepped down. So I think that's the thing with Mahomes, is that Andy Reid got him too late in his career. And so, as far as his deal goes, it's excellent for the cap, but that's the one thing about it that, you look at Tampa Bay, they got to re-sign Fournette. They got to, who knows, AB might think he needs $50 million a year, which he ain't gonna get. So Shaq Barrett's got to be re-signed. So you got a lot of free agents there where there's some rumors that, Arians might step down and let Bowles coach. So I think you got a lot of factors this year, but the main thing I think with Mahomes, why I thought he'd lose this year, is that their defense really needs to be improved. It's not that great. They were really exposed in the game, and that's the main thing, is that I just think that I could see 1 or 2 more, because he's young, but that's it.
All right, Darnell, what you think he can? Is there a scenario where he can still get that GOAT status, or will he just be sitting in that room?
Well, the GOAT, there's a difference between being the GOAT and being in the little room, because at the end of the day, nobody's catching Brady as far as championships goes. But when you're talking about being in that little room, Dan Marino's in that little room, and how many championships does Dan Marino have?
0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many rings does Lawrence Taylor have? He doesn't have as many as Brady. He's in that little room. Reggie White's in that little room. Deion Sanders in that little room. They don't have 7. He can be in that little room if he keeps producing at the level he's producing at.
But people were putting him as the next GOAT. So that's a little room.
That's premature.
Stuff it out.
That was pre-Sunday, bro. That was pre-Sunday. That's pre-Sunday. He ain't now.
I'm saying, but can he make a case? People say he might be able to make a case.
No.
His case was made on Sunday. He was running for his life.
Yeah,
he was running for his life.
They say he wasn't healthy. They might give him the Steph.
What? He got turf toe. You can tell.
They might give him the Steph Curry. You know they like to give Steph Curry that.
I got a good analogy.
Steph Curry lose, they want to come up with an injury.
Yeah.
No.
But
hey, I got a good analogy for this. He's too close to be considered he can't be considered the GOAT, because he's too closely connected to Tom Brady. It's kind of like when Muhammad Ali retired and Larry Holmes was on his run. He was never going to get the love and respect that Muhammad Ali got, because he's just too close. He can't be who Muhammad Ali was, even though at a time he was 48-0 before he lost to the guy we talked about before, Michael Spinks. He was 48-0. He was approaching that record that Rocky Marciano had with his perfect record of 49-0, but he never was seen as the greatest like Muhammad Ali was, because it was too close. And I think it's going to be the same thing for Pat, even if he does get 5 or 6 rings. I don't think they're going to say to go over Brady, because we saw what Brady did, and he's just that great.
All right, Hank, what do you think?
Listen, I know you're talking about something. I said it in my last drop the mic. We're talking about something that's generational with Tom Brady in football. Okay, like I said, he's got 7. He's got more Super Bowl wins than any other franchise. Okay, what you're talking about is generational. Now, when you talk about Patrick Mahomes, you can talk about Deshaun Watson. You can talk about any of the other quarterbacks. You can talk about Green Bay quarterback. Names just flew out of my head that quick. But Aaron Rodgers, you know, all of these quarterbacks and a couple more I haven't named, you know, it's all in that little room. Because Patrick Mahomes, to me, is probably one of the more, you know, exciting young quarterbacks in the league. Okay, but he needs some help. And what we saw on Sunday is he needs some help. He can't do it all by himself. And what we saw with Tom Brady, and as Hammer said, he came in with Belichick, and he's developed his own game, and it's something we've never seen before. So anybody is going to come up short. I think that with Patrick Mahomes, what happens next is going to be determined. I think he's going to get a couple of more rings, you know, if they keep that team intact. But make no mistake about it, everybody else is in the little room.
So I mean, one thing I've been thinking about when I was watching the game, you know, Jim Finks told us a long time ago, you got to be strong on both sides of the ball. And we get all these gadget offenses, we get all this stuff. At the end of the day, you got to be able to control the line of scrimmage.
I told y'all that last week. Didn't I tell you that last week?
You had it. So, you know, I know you know, Finks was in Chicago too, or wasn't he, right? You know, or somewhere in there. So, you know, you got the whisperer coming out. And so I'll come back to you because we should always let you in this one right here because you did say it. So I was gonna start with the youngin who likes to break film down, and he got swayed a little bit. He got swayed away from his eyes. He used to tell us up front that you got to win the line of scrimmage. Did he say that in the championship game when he talked about the college championship game? Why he was gonna take Alabama? He on those basic principles of you got to do it on the line of scrimmage. How did you get bamboozled?
Well, I've seen it up close, and I've seen it up close and personal. Well, I've seen how teams have negated a pass rush in the past, even in the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. We saw when the Patriots played against the Rams, their front seven, and they had Aaron Donald, they had Ndamukong Suh, they had fierce guys up there. But then at the end of the day, Tom Brady was getting the ball out in 2 or 3 seconds max every single time. They was throwing the flats to Julian Edelman. They was giving them option routes. They're getting them in space. They were spreading them out. They had 5 wide sets and stuff like that. And I expected, like I told you over the phone after the game, I was saying, when I break these games down, what I do is I think of the adjustment that that one team would make, and then I would see what is the answer going to be to that adjustment. And in my mind, I was saying that Tampa Bay, they would try to force them into the red zone. They would go too deep. They would try to stop the big plays. And I thought they would have a good answer for Travis Kelce. I did say that before the game, but I said the problem would be Tyreek Hill. I thought they would use him on a lot of those jet motions, the orbit motions. They're going to run a lot of screens for him. I didn't see a lot of it during the game. They didn't do a lot of the quick game stuff. They didn't throw a lot of swings out of the backfield. They didn't do. They didn't give Patrick Mahomes those easy reads so he can get into a rhythm. And I thought that would be what Andy Reid would do, but he just didn't make that next adjustment where you got to be a step ahead, but he wasn't really he wasn't keeping up with Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles was throwing stuff at him. You saw in basketball, and they say that they run in whoever offense on, somebody like Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry is not horrible, but when it gets to the NBA Finals, you got all the great players on the court. They're going to set the screen, and whoever is guarding Steph Curry, they're going to try to get him on LeBron or Kyrie or whoever is the great isolation scorer. They did that in this game. You saw they even put Vita Vea out there. That was crazy. They put Vita Vea, the nose tackle, out on the edge and have him rush on the edge against that right tackle, that poor soul over there. He had the who's who. He had Pierre Paul on some snaps. He had Shaq Barrett on some snaps. He had Ndamukong Suh on some snaps, and they all got wins. So yeah.
Hank, I know you said you had something you wanted to share in a reflection that I don't know if you're trying to point it to youngin or where you going with it.
Well, a couple of things. Well, let me do the breakdown first. First of all, if you watched the first time that the Philadelphia Eagles played the New England Patriots, this looked like that offense that Andy Reid ran. Okay, this did not look like the offense that played in the Super Bowl last year. There was no semblance of
saying.
Yeah,
he went back to Philly Andy. He went
right back to Philly Andy. That they ran him out of town. I mean, there was no semblance of a running game.
I said Donovan McNabb should get some credit.
Yeah, he should get because quite frankly, if you think about it, Donovan McNabb and Patrick Mahomes both looked like the same player on Sunday, running around just crazy. You know,
looking for Freddie Mitchell.
Yeah, and then you know,
I think one was sober though. I think one was sober according to T.O. One was sober.
And then Patrick Mahomes, God bless him, he made some ridiculous throws down the field, and his receivers just betrayed him. Okay, the ball hitting you in the damn face mask. What's going on? Yeah. This is a different ball game. You know, if they make a couple of those catches. The reason why I was singling out the youngin is this. See, you look at the old folks, you look at the gray in the beard, see, and you think that no, you know, this the defense. No, that defense is Todd Bowles. No, this here is experience, young man. We call that wisdom highlights. Back, let me drop it back for you for a minute. I remember back in the day when the Boston Celtics didn't look like they were the most talented team, but they kept winning championships. They kept winning championships. They kept beating teams that was greater, more talented than they were because they was experienced. They knew how to get it done in the playoffs. This is what Tom Brady did not panic. What I saw with Patrick Mahomes was a desperation. And I saw a steady reserve with Tom Brady. And that steady reserve started to permeate with the whole rest of the team. You starting to see players just stay within themselves. Okay, you see a player like Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown scoring touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Both of them were cast-offs. Okay, you see Ndamukong Suh finally get his ring. Okay, I take nothing away from Todd Bowles' defensive game plan. That was stellar. Okay, but I think he got a little help from Andy Reid. I really do. But I'm gonna tell you right now. When you got that playoff experience, when nothing phases you, and your team looks you in the huddle and they look you in the eye, and you are the calmest cat in the eye, and you making all these plays, you know, this is what the playoffs is about, especially in professional sports. You always see that team that got the experience really get it done. And then this is why this game got out of hand was because Tom Brady and them just kept doing the same thing. They just kept body punching. Going over the top, going over the middle, going down the middle. All of a sudden, Kansas City's secondary was losing their mind, grabbing and holding. And yeah, the referees got a little overzealous, but they were grabbing and holding. Okay.
Last week, both teams were grabbing and holding last week. I said
they were grabbing and holding. They was grabbing and holding. But Tyreek Hill disappeared. Sammy Watkins, you didn't hear. Travis Kelce dropping the rock. Okay, this is a team that got rattled. And Tom Brady and them kept coming, and people fail to realize they went for a goal line stand. This game is a lot worse than the final score indicates. That was a total beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, and because soft, so that's something that I know they're going to try and shake off next year. And I also think, you know, Leftwich has got to get more credit. I think one of those things is you can see he's always a smart guy and has been really bright, but you can see there's something about managing personalities. And I think Tom helped out a lot, but I think Leftwich always looked relaxed. He and Brady had a lot of good chemistry. You know, probably, you know, being a quarterback, I think there's things he can see. I think people forget to think about his history. I remember him when Marshall when they were carrying him down the field on the drill when he broke his leg. I mean, people got to know this guy's got respect in the game. Like the streets respect him in a way It's important in the way he's kind of, I'm hoping that he, once they recognize who he is, like in the press, in the presser afterwards, guy thought he was Todd Bowles. None of them even look alike. But once people know who he really is, he's tall as hell. Once people know who he really is, I'm looking forward to him getting the opportunity to lead the operation. If that means, if Aaron steps down and he steps in, but I felt like even when the situation happened in Arizona, he wouldn't have caused that, even if they thought the head coach wasn't great. I felt like they should have, given him a little bit more shine and thought. But I'm happy for Leftwich. I want to highlight that with him. I did want to ask one thing of y'all, and I had this on the rundown. Over under is 12 days. How long y'all think Gronk gonna be potty? The over under is 12 days straight. What y'all think? How long y'all think? Ham, how long you think Gronk gonna party? 12.
Under, because he wants to repeat, man. I think under. So I mean, he's a free agent, so they're gonna give him a nice friendly deal, where incentive deal, and he's gotta come back. And yeah, I mean,
they ain't gonna stop him from partying though. Even they ain't gonna stop.
Yeah, but you can't again. Gronk is Gronk. People I talk about Gronk. Gronk, if you look at him, how he built his body up, and how Gronk was like the 6th offensive lineman there. I mean, he was amazing blocking. They talk about his pass game. His blocking was much better. So
blocking was
he's gonna be in phenomenal shape. So you can only party for about a week before your point of no return. So I think again, 12 days is too long. Yeah, I think a week will be fine, and he'll be back to working out. So back to getting himself. Yeah, but you can't.
I can appreciate your rationale.
Yeah, 12 days. That's too long. That's Lawrence Taylor partying. That's what that is.
You wake up
Lawrence
in Vegas.
He can party all day.
They start out in Tampa Bay and wake up in Vegas. You do some stuff. Yeah. You might wake up in Thailand or something, mess around like I got on a private plane. Where'd I end up? Darnell, over under on what you think Gronk is gonna do.
I'll give it the flight over. Just he gonna take 2 weeks just to enjoy himself. But
yeah, because he doing like 3 days at Disney World or Disneyland, wherever he had down there. So
I'll go have him back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right, we'll finish out with Hank before we go drop the mic. I'm sure we'll be talking more about them getting prepared for next week. We'll have a lot. We'll kill this. But Hank, what's your over under, and then we'll let you drop the mic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be over, only because he's already in Florida. Okay, and he the biggest thing out there. He took the year off. He comes back, goes wins the Super Bowl. I think he's just going to go ahead and enjoy himself, and then get ready for next season. If this was Gronk, Patriots Gronk, I'd probably say about 3 days. But Tampa Bay Gronk,
he down there risking no biscuit.
That's right.
All right, we're gonna drop the mic.
All right, guys, listen. I want to hit y'all with a little something, okay? The Detroit Stars, the New York Black Yankees, the Kansas City Monarchs, the Homestead Grays. I don't know if you ever heard of these teams or not. They're not on your PlayStation, okay? These aren't made up teams that you put on your PlayStation. These were actually Negro League teams back in the day, before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. The Kansas City Monarchs, for a lot of like my parents and my grandparents, that was the team to watch. Why? Because Satchel Paige was on that team. Okay. When you have a team called the Homestead Grays, they had a player named Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson was the first home run king. Josh Gibson hit 80 home runs one year in the Negro Leagues. Players like Cool Papa Bell. This was the Negro Leagues, and this being Black History Month. I want to just take a moment to just kind of like throw a little of that history out there for you. That a lot of the major league records right now were already shattered. Dare I say, just broken and shattered by a lot of Negro League players. Josh Gibson was very, very upset, and he hated Jackie Robinson because he was a better player than Jackie Robinson. Never got a chance to play in the major leagues. As we mentioned about Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige was, like I said, almost 50 years old when he first took the mound. Larry Doby was the first Black player in in the American League. We talk about Jackie Robinson, but Larry Doby was the first Black player in the major leagues, in the American League. So just a moment, just a brief moment in history, if you will, back in the day. That while we always talk about Gehrig, we talk about Ruth, we talk about Cobb. I just wanted to give you a few more names to think about: Gibson, Papa Bell, and Satchel Paige. Happy Black History Month. I'll bring you